We hear a lot about poisonous insects, spiders, and even fish. But you may be surprised to hear that they are not the only ones. Our friends in the sky, birds, have been known to have certain poisonous varieties. Today we look at 5 of the most poisonous birds in the world. Number 1. Hooded Pitohi. The first birds known to be poisonous are the Pitohi species, which are found in New Guinea. There are various types of Pitohi, 3 of which are poisonous. Those are the variable Pitohi, the brown Pitohi, and the hooded Pitohi. The hooded Pitohi, whose scientific name is Pitohi ditrus, was the first to be discovered and is the most potent of these birds. Its striking coloring is much brighter than the other types of Pitohi. It gets its poison from the coracine beetles it likes to eat. The same beetle is thought to produce the toxins in the poison dart frogs, which come from Colombia. The poison is in the feathers and the skin of the birds, and if you touch one, you'll experience tingling and numbness. Common quail. This is a bit of a mystery, as these birds aren't always poisonous, and scientists have as of yet been unable to find out what makes them poisonous at all. It is quite concerning that a human food source is periodically fatally poisonous, but that's exactly what happens if you eat a Coturnix quail at the wrong time of year. It's not that rare to be killed by a quail either, even if it has the name Coturnism. You don't have to worry about eating farmed quails though. They're perfectly safe. It's the wild migratory birds that have the power to poison you. A number of species of Coturnix quail have traveled between Europe and Africa each year, heading to Europe in the spring and to Africa in the autumn. In the past, the quail migration was a hugely impressive sight, with hundreds of birds passing through as they traveled in big flocks. Nowadays, loss of natural habitat and hunting by humans have caused a dramatic decrease in numbers of quails. Of course, it's hard to say no to a free meal flying through, and that's where the major issue is. Sometimes the quails are safe to eat, at other times they're poisonous. But how can you tell? It just depends which migration route they happen to be on. There are 3 routes: the Central Flyway, the Western Flyway, and the Eastern Flyway. When the quail are on the Central Flyway through Italy, they're never poisonous, no matter which way they're going. However, when they're on the Western Flyway, they're poisonous, but only in the spring when they're traveling north. Many poisonous animals become poisonous from consuming something that is poisonous itself, and it would make sense that this is what's going on with the quails. In the autumn, when they're traveling south on the Western Flyway, they're not poisonous. It's the other way around on the Eastern Flyway. When they're traveling north in the spring, they're not poisonous. But when they're traveling southward in the autumn, they are poisonous. So far though, quite what the quails are eating is anyone's guess. A couple of theories include poisonous beetles and hemlock. However, when these ideas were tested by feeding them to quails during the study, the quails themselves died. Number 3. The Spurwinged Goose. Some of these spur-winged geese are poisonous sometimes. It just depends on what they've eaten. Bird isn't poisonous on the outside though. It is the meat that becomes toxic, and if eaten is potentially deadly. Gambia and spur-winged geese eat toxic beetles from the blister beetle family. When they eat the toxic insects, the poison filters into the tissues of the goose itself. When the meat of the goose is eaten, whoever has eaten it ingests the poison. Blister beetles produce a toxin called cantharidin, which can be fatal to humans even in tiny amounts. It causes swelling of the genitals and has been used as an aphrodisiac since ancient times. One type of blister beetle is the Spanish fly. Number 4. Little Shrike Thrush. The scientific name of the little shrike thrush is Cholera cinclidae, and they're mainly found in Australia and Papua New Guinea, although some do live in Indonesia too. There are a handful of species in the genus Choleracincia, and one of the most common is the rufous or little shrike thrush. They are known to be related to whistlers. The little shrike thrush is poisonous in the same way that the Pitohi are. They have batrachotoxin inside them, the same poison that deadly poison dart frogs have. There are 30 subspecies of the rufous strike thrush. The wide variety of these species has prompted a phylogeographic investigation, where the distribution of the species is traced by looking at its evolution and genetic diversity. An American study has collected specimens from 45 areas of Papua New Guinea, and from the 174 samples collected, there were 23 subspecies of the bird. Number 5. Blue-capped ifrit. The blue-capped ifrit has its own genus, the Ephrita. It was part of the Cinclosomatidae, or Monarchidae family. However, it was decided that it should be separate from this, and has now been given a family of its own, the Ephritidae. This poisonous bird lives in New Guinea, setting up home in the rainforest there. It grows up to 16.5 centimeters long and has a blue and black crown with yellow-brown body feathers. You can tell the difference between the male and female ifrit by the streak just behind the eye. The male's is white and the female's is dark yellow. It lives in the trees of the rainforest, crawling around on the trunks and branches where it feeds on insects. Like the other 3 poisonous birds, it takes batrachotoxin into its feathers and skin. If it is touched, tingling and numbness occur. The poison comes from the chlorocine SPP beetles, which the birds love to eat.